Unlocking the epic secret to praying with power, a 12-step biblical guide for today. In the hushed corners of a small town, a legend brewed. Whispers filled the air. A long-lost book said to hold the key to praying with unimaginable power was hidden somewhere in the woods. This wasn't just any book. It was rumored to change lives, to unlock doors to the divine, to make wishes come true. People felt the energy thrumming in the air, almost like a pulse, making the hairs on their arms stand on end. Eyes wide with belief, they gathered, exchanging knowing glances, clutching wooden staves and hand-drawn maps, ready to uncover what had been lost. The first clue? A symbol etched in stone, glowing eerily at twilight, visible only under the silver light of the full moon. It looked like an ancient runic inscription that seemed to swirl and shift as you gazed at it. What wisdom did it promise? Each night, a group of believers would venture into the darkness, hearts pounding, not just from excitement but from fear. The stories of those who entered and never returned hung heavy, making their excursions feel both thrilling and chilling. Each echo of a footstep felt like a call from the unknown, daring them to go deeper. "I think we're being watched," someone would whisper, eyes darting towards the trees that loomed like ominous giants, shadows dancing among the branches. The faint rustle of leaves, a notable shift in the air, a distant owl's hoot all set the stage for the discoveries they were chasing. They were not just hunters but explorers of the mystical, reaching out for something bigger than themselves, something that could grant them the power they longed for. The clock ticked on the wall inside the old church. Time was slipping away as dread mingled with hope. What they sought could bring salvation or destruction. What would happen when they finally cracked the code? But here's the thing, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash the like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Silence fell like a blanket as they finally approached the grove where it was said the great prayer could be invoked. Lush foliage surrounded them, thick and dark. Then a figure appeared, cloaked and shadowy, revealing nothing but a glint of white teeth in the moonlight. The figure grinned, voice low and smooth like honey. "Ah, seekers of the sacred, have you come to claim what is yours?" With hearts racing, they exchanged frightened glances. Questions swirled in their minds. Was this the gatekeeper? Was it friend or foe? What price would they have to pay to unlock the secrets they craved? The air grew heavier, anticipation crackling like electricity. They stood on the brink of revelation, unaware that their lives were about to entwine with forces they could scarcely imagine. Tension surged around them like an electric charge. The cloaked figure stepped closer, the moonlight glinting off a pendant hanging around its neck. It resembled the very symbol that had drawn them here. The believers held their breath, waiting for a sign, a word, something to guide them. "The answers you seek come at a price," the figure cooed, its voice silky yet cold as ice. "What price?" Sarah, always the brave one, stepped forward, her voice a tremor of defiance mixed with fear. A collective gasp whispered through the group, a plea, a warning. The figure tilted its head, examining each of them, eyes glimmering like the sharpest knives. "Fear is the currency that feeds the power you wish to wield. Surrender it, and perhaps you might earn your desires." A weight descended as they processed the words. Was fear really a currency? Marcus shivered, suddenly remembering the tales of those who vanished. What did surrendering fear even mean? Would they have to face their worst nightmares? "You've already journeyed into the depths," the figure continued, a wicked smile stretching its lips. "Embrace your fears, and the book of power shall reveal itself to you." A chill coursed through the wood, and even the wind seemed to stop, waiting for a reaction. One by one, the group glanced at one another, uncertainty swiftly morphing into a gritty resolve. They were here now. They had ventured too far to turn back. Together, Rachel finally whispered, her voice steady. "We face this head-on. We share our fears and burn them away," Marcus finished. As if prompted by their words, an unsettling murmur swept through the trees, a breathless sigh or perhaps a low growl. The shadows around them thickened, wrapping tighter, like a noose gathering its prey. The figure before them stood frozen yet exuded a tangible anticipation, eager to watch their next move. "Very well, let the fear unfold," the figure hissed, more wolf than human. "Speak your truths." Rachel's heart thundered in her chest. "I fear being forgotten," she shouted, her voice echoing through the silence, shattering the tension momentarily. "I fear nobody remembering my name." The figure's grin widened, and the shadows seemed to ripple in laughter. "Look around you. Who among these has not borne similar fears? Who among you has not felt the burden of insignificance?" A collective murmur rose as others reluctantly began to share. And then came Marcus, his voice cracked and raw. "I fear I'll fail to protect my family." Pathetic, the figure sneered, but the group tightened around Marcus, flowing warmth pushing aside the shadows. One by one, they spoke their fears into the night: lost loved ones, broken dreams, unfulfilled lives. With each confession, a strange energy sparked between them. It was both frightening and liberating. But just as they thought they had created an unbreakable bond, the ground beneath their feet trembled. A rumble echoed like the world shifting. The figure's smile narrowed. "Each confession gives me strength, and the path grows dark." "What do you mean?" Sarah gasped, dread weaving through her veins. The figure leaned closer, a whisper just above their breaths that felt like icy fingers tracing their spines. "The fear you hold feeds the darkness that guards the book. Your desires only fuel the shadows." And with that, the shadows seemed to stretch and pulse, opening into a gaping black abyss. Was it a doorway to what they sought, or a trap to ensnare them forever? They needed to decide: would they plunge forward into the darkness or retreat and abandon their quest? The choice hung over them like a storm cloud, crackling with potential doom. As the figure's laughter echoed around them, each heart wrestled with fear, and the group stood at the precipice, uncertain of what awaited if they stepped through that yawning void. The silence was suffocating, an aching weight that wrapped around them, each heartbeat echoing like a drum in the still night air. With each exchange of empty glances, the darkness yawned wider. How did they even begin to sift through their fears? This was no casual stroll into the unknown. They were standing at the edge of a precipice, gazing into an abyss that shimmered with the promise of power and the threat of annihilation. "Step back," Rachel said suddenly, her voice trembling. "What if we're playing right into its hands? We're confessing our fears, and it's finding power in them." A sense of static tension swirled, the air thickening with doubt. A murmur swept through the group, glances exchanged, faces etched with worry. Fear felt like a living thing, a predator waiting to spring. Together, Marcus repeated, desperation threading through his words. "That's how we figured we'd face this. Strength in numbers." He stepped forward, gaze locking onto the figure. "You won't have our fear." A sinister chuckle rolled from the shadows. "Ah, brave little souls. Do you think that bravery is enough? Delay the inevitable, and I'll gladly feast on your lingering terror." The figure lifted its arms. "But together you shall be swallowed by the void." "Does your unity shield you from the real horrors of your hearts?" "Maybe we're not ready to embrace this nightmare," whispered Sarah, hesitance drenching her, her courage fading like the twilight. "What if this is more than just a game? Then let us stop talking and start doing," Rachel declared, voice firmer now. "If we're here, let us create our own light. Every darkness harbors a flicker of hope." With that, as if commanded, an unseen force took hold of the atmosphere around them. The shadows flickered almost violently, shaking in response to their collective will. The part of them that yearned for safety began to awaken. "Shout your hopes," Sarah shouted suddenly, surprising even herself. "What do we desire?" One by one, the group voiced aspirations: freedom from past traumas, the strength to move forward, the chance to create instead of destroy. Each confession seemed to push back against the darkness, a wave crashing over the chilling whispers enveloping them. Yet, as their hopes echoed into the night, the cloaked figure shuddered with rage. "You dare resist me?" it hissed, the shadows flaring like a wildfire as the ground shook with renewed fury. "You think these pitiful yearnings can protect you? They merely ignite the abyss." "We'll see about that," Rachel exclaimed defiantly. She took a step closer to the abyss, the tension around her flaring as she felt that odd strength radiating from the group. It filled the cracks of their insecurities, casting a faint glow over the encroaching darkness. But just as hope ignited, the shadows twisted violently, swallowing the moonlight. Marcus's breath caught, eyes wide with fear. What if we're wrong? The figure lunged forward, darkness racing toward them like a predator ready to pounce. Embrace your fears or perish. A surge broke in the group. The darkness surged like an earth-shattering wave, and everyone instinctively moved back. Heartbeats thundered in their chests, panic clawing at their throats. What do we do? Someone cried. The figure grinned, shadows swirling like a tempest around its form. Your time is running out. The choice is made. You will either fight your fears or suffer eternal darkness. The group had to decide before the shadows consumed their hope. Would they submit to the fears lurking in the void or stand resolute against the tide of night? But just then, a faint light flickered within the abyss, shimmering like a beacon, calling to them. The promise of their deepest desires glinted in the dark. Was it a trick or a true path to power? Do we go for it? Sarah gasped, eyes darting toward the uncertain glow, and as the shadows closed in, the group's collective breath held tight. They teetered at the edge, ready to plunge forward or flee, but the choice had never felt heavier. What awaited them beyond that threshold? The light flickered, and something primal gripped their hearts before they could call out a single word. The void spoke. Choose, little souls, choose. The void's voice was a chilling whisper, winding around them like a serpent poised to strike. A surge of adrenaline flooded their systems, their instincts screaming to flee, yet the light beckoned them like a moth to a flame. Rachel clenched her fists, the warmth of her friends beside her grounding her. If we're going to face this, we need to commit. Right now. Together. With hesitant nods, they drew closer, mouths dry and hearts pounding. Every fiber of their being told them to resist the darkness, but the allure of the light ignited a yearning deep within. The shadows shrank for a moment, drawn back by the flickering glimmer at their feet, a fragile connection to hope. What do we want to be, and who do we want to become? Marcus muttered, eyes locked on the light. Is this our chance? God, I hope so, Sarah breathed, a tremor lacing her voice. We need to shout it out. What do we desire? What do we truly want? A collective breath filled the air, the weight of their collective dreams almost tangible. Courage! Rachel shouted, her voice rising above the encroaching shadows. Freedom! The darkness roared, furious at their defiance. Your hopes are futile, it spat, its ghastly form weaving in and out of view, an ever-shifting nightmare. They are mere wisps against the tempest that is me. Not if we believe. Marcus insisted, his anger flaring. Last chance, everyone. Join me. His words felt like a lifeline as he squeezed Rachel's hand, and she tightened her grip. Let us get loud. Rachel shouted, her voice quaking yet fierce. We want to live. We want to conquer our fears. We will not remain shackled. One by one, voices joined in a chorus, growing louder and stronger, a cacophony against the monstrous darkness. We want life. They cried, the resonance echoing through the void. In response, the figure's demeanor twisted into a grotesque snarl as shadows lashed out, rapid and menacing. The air crackled with energy, charged by their combined determination and resistance. Silence! You cannot drown me out. It bellowed, but the darkness seemed to wane ever so slightly, as if their declarations chipped away at its foundation. Focus on the light. Sarah yelled, spreading her arms wide as if to embrace their aspirations. She felt warmth flicker in her heart. In that moment, she found strength to believe that perhaps they weren't just shouting into the void, perhaps they were lighting their own path. But just as hope brightened the gloomy horizon, the light wavered, and doubt dragged an icy claw across Sarah's mind. What if it's all an illusion? What if we're just making it worse? In that critical instant, the shadows surged forward, an overwhelming tide intent on devouring them. Embrace despair! It shrieked, a tempest of darkness swirling tighter around them. Terror washed over the group. They were so close to the edge. The choice devoured their thoughts. Was this bold declaration their salvation or their doom? Stay together! Marcus shouted, panic creeping into his voice. Stand firm! As the force of darkness crashed against them, the faint flicker of light beneath their feet turned into a blinding pulse of energy. It grew brighter, reaching toward them like fingers of hope. The collective breath held until a flash blinding. Reality flickered and warped. What was that? A doorway? An escape? Or an even deeper leap into this mystery? The shadows fell quiet, enthralled by the glory of the light. It pulsed like a heartbeat, a rhythm of something both terrifying and exhilarating. But before they could step into the light, a resounding voice growled from within the abyss, "What you step into is a choice you will never take back. Out there, the world waits full of challenges beyond your comprehension." The group huddled, uncertainty washed over them. They took a collective step back, and as if sensing their doubt, the shadows whispered again, eager to exploit their hesitation. "Fear is waiting, little souls. Are you ready for what lies beyond?" The air thickened, heavy with promise and dread. Would they take the leap, facing the unknown? Or would the pull of darkness prove too strong? The light pulsed again, a vibrant chaos drawing them in, reflecting their inner turmoil. No one spoke. They stood at the precipice, fingers trembling, hearts thrumming like drums. Time stretched, the moments suspended between the known and the unimaginable. Rachel squeezed Marcus's hand harder, her breath hitching. "What if we fail?" she whispered, fear flickering in her eyes. "Or what if we soar?" Marcus shot back, defiance rippling through his voice. "We can't let it win. Not now." He turned to Sarah, whose face mirrored the same panic. "Can we truly believe we can leave this behind?" A flicker of doubt passed over Sarah, a shadow of worry that threatened to consume her. What if the world out there is even darker? She could feel it lurking, just beyond their sight, waiting to drag them backward. "We don't know what awaits us." Suddenly, the shadows hissed, and the void creaked ominously. "You fear the unknown, yet it calls to you. Embrace it," the voice taunted, dripping with malice. The pulsating light lost its consistency, flickering as if it understood their hesitation. "We can't give in," Rachel cried, echoing their shared dread. "What if the light is the way?" With each moment, the darkness swelled, drawing nearer, its tendrils creeping over the ground like fingers reaching for a last grasp of hope. The grip around their hearts tightened, leaving no room for thought. "Together, we jump," Marcus shouted, breaking their trance. "We trust each other. We trust in something greater. Do we want this?" "Yes," they chorused, voices rising in defiance, a sudden surge of unity boosting their spirits. The shadows twisted angrily. "You know not what you do," it screeched, erupting into a storm of chaos, black clouds swirling and a cacophony of nightmarish sounds clawing at their sanity. "You are foolish. You shall perish." But the light grew blinding, almost tangible, and in that brilliance, Rachel felt heat collide with ice. "On 3. 1, 2." The shadows rushed in, desperate to consume them, every horror from their past coiling around their ankles. 3. They leaped, instinctual and raw, throwing themselves into the blazing light as it surged forward, swallowing them whole. An all-encompassing warmth enveloped them as time dissolved, transporting them through a tunnel of brilliance and chaos, a vivid flash of memories, desires, dreams colliding in fragments of color and sound. Everyone they loved. Every fear that haunted them. But just as it felt like they might break through to clarity, the world fell away into silence. The brilliance dimmed, taking their breaths, each hitch echoing in the oppressive quiet. They landed with an oppressive thud, the air heavy and thick. As they blinked away the dazzle, dark outlines began to form. Around them, the landscape morphed, a barren wasteland silhouetted by a muted sun hanging low at the horizon. Gray rocks jutted from a cracked ground, and an eerie stillness nested over the expanse. "Is this?" Sarah's voice trailed off, replaced by the dread lurking just beneath the surface. Marcus turned slowly, taking in the surroundings. "Where are we?" A distant howl pierced the silence, chilling them and stirring the dust at their feet. A figure emerged, half-draped in shadow, its eyes gleaming with an unsettling light. "Welcome to the world you've chosen," it said, its voice a low rumble, carrying promises of ruin. They stood there, hearts pounding anew. Fear clawed at their insides like an insatiable beast. Had they made the right choice? "Remember you called for life," the creature taunted, but are you truly ready for the challenges ahead? As the figure drew nearer, a horrific truth loomed. This was merely the beginning. What horrors awaited them in this desolated land? Would they find the strength to conquer the journey ahead, or had they awakened worse than nightfall? The ground trembled beneath them, each pulse resonating in their bones. The figure advanced, its dark cloak swirling like smoke in the stillness. The gleam in its eyes revealed uncharted malice, a hunger that sent shivers slithering down Rachel's spine. "What do you want from us?" Marcus demanded, his voice steely despite the uncertainty pooling in his chest. "Despair and hunger," the figure replied, its laughter sinister as if it hungered for their fear. "You've crossed into a realm where your greatest anxieties will come alive. Here, nothing is what it seems, and everything you cherish is at stake." Rachel and Sarah stepped back, the weight of the creature's words settling heavily on their shoulders. The wasteland around them simmered with unspoken dread, the air thickening like a storm on the horizon. Together, they glanced around, searching for signs of familiarity in a world that felt alien and stark. "What can we do?" Sarah's voice wavered, but determination threaded through her words. "Please, show us the way." The shadowy figure smiled with sharp teeth, its joy twisted, as it gestured at the desolate land. "Ah, a guiding light. But know this, in this world, you must navigate not only your surroundings but also the demons within." As if summoned by the creature's words, the ground rumbled again, cracks splitting the earth wide. From these fissures, eerie whispers crawled up, weaving through the lifeless air. Echoes of their darkest fears taunted them, voices that they thought they had silenced long ago. "Rachel!" came a voice heavy with betrayal. It was her father, an image rising in the fog, looking broken and lost. "You abandoned me, this is your fault." Rachel pressed her hands to her ears, scrambling against the miasma of self-doubt. With every heartbeat, she sensed the truth behind the illusion. "You're not real!" she screamed, but the shadows intensified, thrumming with a cold might, making her blood run icy. Marcus stepped towards her, determination glowing in his eyes. "You are stronger than they know. Don't listen." He reached for Rachel, pulling her back from the brink, then a piercing wail burst from the land itself, sending tremors through the ground, as more shadows emerged, creeping upward like vines. They took the shape of long-forgotten memories, each a painful reminder of what they had lost. They found themselves hemmed in by a chorus of haunting images. Sarah recoiled at visions of her younger self, cowering in isolation while other children played. "I remember that," she gasped, shuddering. "The girl I wanted to be, I left her behind." "Stop!" Marcus shouted, drawing every eye to him. "This isn't who we are anymore. We came here to face our fears, not be consumed by them. We can't let them control us." The creature hissed, twisting with rage, shadows condensing into a monstrous form, threatening to engulf him. "Foolish ones! You invite devastation." With a sudden surge of courage, Rachel joined Marcus. "We've made the choice to move forward. We won't let despair crush us." In that moment, their hands clasped tight again, exchanging strength, conviction passing like an electric current. What lay ahead echoed with the promise of horror, but together, they felt an ember of hope flicker within the darkness, and just then, the shadows shrank, recoiling as if stung by a light not visible. But in the distance, something stirred, a figure moving through the haze. Another presence? Or a more profound danger? "Are you prepared for what comes next?" The creature whispered cruelly, its voice winding through them, a sinister promise echoing in their hearts. As the dark figure dissolved into the ether, a new threat loomed in the haze, leaving them questioning, was freedom truly within grasp, or had they merely awakened a deeper nightmare? The ground continued to shift beneath them, the landscape swirling into an unsettling dance of shadows and fading light. Rachel could feel her throat tighten as she squinted into the fog, desperately searching for the form she had sensed lingering just out of reach. Every gust of wind carried a weight, whispering promises and threats alike. "Do you see that?" Sarah whispered, pointing towards the vague silhouette creeping closer. It glided through the haze, blurring the lines between friend and foe. The figure's outline twisted, morphing in unsettling ways, inviting curiosity yet sowing seeds of dread. "Stay alert," Marcus warned, muscles rigid, ready to fight or flee. Fear coursed through his veins, a fire igniting his determination. Whatever it wasn't going to take them without a fight. As the figure drew nearer, the air around them shifted, charged, electric, alive. The shadows pulsated with a life of their own, feeding off their trepidation. Rachel's heartbeat echoed in her ears, drowning everything else out. Then, the figure stepped into the light, revealing a familiar face. Emily! Rachel gasped, her heart racing as the air around them crackled with disbelief. It was her best friend from childhood, the girl who had disappeared without a trace. The girl they had lost long ago. Rachel? I've been waiting for you. Emily's voice was sweet, yet laced with an undertone that felt wrong. You're finally here. You can't leave me again. No, this can't be happening. Rachel battled against the tide of memories washing over her. You're gone. This isn't real. Emily laughed softly, the sound brushing against Rachel like soft fingers before climbing into a cacophony of mockery. What a weak thing to say. You think you can just forget? That I'm not a part of you? I am the weight you carry, the guilt you harbor. Rachel! Don't listen! Sarah pulled Rachel back, her voice barely cutting through the chaotic noise. But fear had burrowed into Rachel's heart, rooting deep like a thorn. I abandoned you, Rachel choked out, tears stinging her eyes. I didn't know. I wanted to save you. Emily tilted her head, a smile too wide for comfort. And yet, your choice looms over you like a shadow. Are you brave enough to face the truth? Or will you continue in this charade of denial? Marcus stepped forward, separating Rachel from Emily's reach. Just because you're an illusion doesn't mean you don't hurt her. We didn't come here to play games with ghosts. His voice boomed, shaking the ground beneath them. Games? Emily feigned innocence, her smile morphing, becoming something cruel and terrifying. This is more than a game, sweet friends. It's survival. If you can't confront what you fear, you will be consumed by it. The shadows snapped like whips, lashing around them, and Rachel felt the oppressive weight of her guilt dragging her back down. I can't go back, you won't have to, Emily soothed, reaching out, her hand dissolving into mist as it stretched. You're already here. Come, embrace me. No! Rachel shouted, summoning every ounce of strength. You're not my past. You're not my future. In a heartbeat, the shadows surged, a deafening tide of despair and rage crashing around them, pulling at every insecurity, every tear they had shed. But in that moment of chaos, Rachel locked eyes with Marcus. He was her anchor, a lifeline amidst the storm. Together! He yelled, his voice slicing through the confusion. The clasp of their hands ignited warmth, a beacon amid the storm. With a collective breath, they pushed through, determined not to drown in darkness. And at that moment, the chaotic whispers faded into a heartbeat, leaving only an echo of clarity. Beware what lies beneath, Emily hissed, her form dissipating into the gathering mists, revealing a different silhouette, pitch black, enormous, and terribly menacing. An ancient shadow, eyes glowing with hunger. Move! Rachel urged, quaking as they tried to retreat, but the darkness pulsated, rolling onward like an avalanche. What have we awakened? Sarah cried, panic surging like wildfire. As a chilling wind howled. Around them, the night deepened, shadows stretching like creatures coming alive. With a new threat emerging from the depths, Rachel wondered, were they truly ready for what lay beyond this moment? The darkness roared as it shifted, hungry and eager, and the trio realized they had only just begun to fight. The shadow loomed closer, its form shifting and swirling, grotesque in its elegance. It was as if darkness itself had been given a shape and was now hungry for something it had lost. Rachel's breath quickened, not from exertion but sheer panic. The enormity of what lay before them, a creature of nightmares, pressed against her skin like a heavy cloak. Are we really going to let it take us? Sarah gasped, her voice trembling. The threat was visceral, wrapping tendrils of fear around them. We need to do something. Marcus glanced around, the shadows appearing to ripple excitedly at the scent of their fear. We can't let it win. It feeds off this. His eyes darted from Rachel to Sarah, desperation mounting. They had fought through their own demons, but now they faced something primal and ancient. "Listen, we're not alone," Rachel whispered fiercely, gripping Marcus's hand tighter. "Emily might have been a ghost, but we can still push through this. We have each other." The darkness hissed, its form warping, as if reacting to Rachel's words. "Together?" it mocked, echoing back to them in a chorus of distorted voices. "How naive. You think unity will shield you from the truth lurking beneath?" Rachel's pulse quickened. "We'll confront you," she shouted defiantly, her voice trembling yet laced with determination. It was a lie she wanted to believe, a shield against the weight of her guilt. "You're not real, not like this." The creature paused, its glowing eyes narrowing, evaluating the trio as if pondering their resolve. The shadows coiled and twisted, shifting towards them, breathing in their courage with an insatiable hunger. The air felt thick, laden with expectation. "We stand together," Sarah announced suddenly. The fear in her eyes shimmered with a flicker of hope that she refused to relinquish. "We will not let you drag us down." In a surge of adrenaline, they formed a circle, holding hands tightly, each of their hearts echoing a unified rhythm. The ground trembled beneath them, responding to the defiance radiating from their union. "Whatever you are, we reject you," Marcus shouted, his voice powerful, rising above the tumult around them. Just as they erected a barrier of will, the creature lunged, the darkness splitting into serrated claws reaching toward them. Rachel's heart thumped violently as she squeezed her friend's hands, feeling the pulse of their fight strengthen. A blinding light erupted from the center of their clasped hands, illuminating the encroaching shadows. It felt warm and alive, a beacon of hope mixed with the fears they had shared. "No!" the creature screamed, caught in the light. Its voice shattered into a cacophony of agony, shaking the very ground beneath them. The shadows writhed violently, but the light grew stronger, pushing back against the tide. "Keep holding on," Rachel shouted, sweat dripping down her brow, her breath ragged but resolute. A rift opened between them and the creature, the darkness shrieking as if it were being pulled apart. Desperation seeped from what had once been familiar, twisting it into something grotesque. Then, in a moment that felt eternal but lasted a heartbeat, the light surged, casting shadows back into oblivion. The creature writhed, a final protest against annihilation, before it vanished in a splintering silence. For a moment, there was nothing. Just them breathing, trembling, hearts racing. Then the sudden realization hit. They had fought back, but at what cost? Rachel scanned the vicinity, searching for signs of impending malaise, and her gaze fell to the ground, an abyss, black and swirling. Something deeper lurked beneath, waiting, hungry. What did we really just unleash? She whispered, dread pooling in her chest. Marcus's eyes widened as he stepped back, taking in the swirling mass at their feet. "I don't think this is over," patting their shoulders. Sarah turned to look up at them, fear gutting her brave front. "We shouldn't stay here. We need to figure out what we just released before it comes for us next." As the shadows flickered and danced threateningly, Rachel braced herself for whatever was to come. The darkness murmured secrets, inviting her to peer into the abyss once more. And in that chilling moment, uncertainty gnawed at her mind. Could they possibly face what was hidden below? With a shared glance that said everything, they took a step back to retreat or to uncover the truth. The swirling abyss pulsed gently, like the breath of something alive, waiting just beneath the surface. Rachel felt the heat of anticipation mingle with her fear, making her skin prickle. The shadows danced around her feet, teasing, wrapping around her ankles like tentacles. "We have to move," Marcus urged, his voice rising in urgency. He tugged at Rachel's arm, trying to pull her away from the pulsing mass. "If it's not over, whatever's down there is getting stronger." But Rachel was transfixed, her heart hammering. What if it was never about fighting it? She murmured, more to herself than to Marcus. What if it's about understanding it? The thought daunted her, but she felt an undeniable pull, a strange connection to that darkness, like a magnet drawing her closer. "Rachel, don't." Sarah's voice broke through the haze of her mind. "You can't be serious. We don't even know what we're dealing with." "I know what I felt," Rachel replied, her voice steady. "We managed to push back that creature, Maybe there is something in the darkness that needs to be uncovered, something we can learn.
That's dangerous thinking.
Marcus intervened, his grip tightening on her arm as if trying to anchor her.
What if it's just a trap? What if you're letting it manipulate you?
Her resolve started to waver under the weight of their fear. A tremor ran through the ground, rippling toward them like a warning.
The shadows hissed in response to their tension, an animal sensing danger.
Rachel hesitated. But even in her heart, she could feel the whispers of the abyss growing louder, almost pleading.
But what if we don't try?
She countered softly, wrestling with her own fears.
What if we leave here and it just hunts us down later? Time felt suspended. Each heartbeat drummed in her ears as they exchanged glances, weighing the risks.
We can't just stand here, Sarah finally said, her voice trembling yet resolute.
We have to choose to confront or retreat.
The shadows flickered violently, as if reflecting their internal struggle. Rachel stepped forward, emboldened by a strength she didn't know she possessed. If we confront it together, we'll at least know what we're facing. Marcus swallowed hard, uncertainty clouding his eyes, but he took a deep breath and nodded.
Okay. But we're doing this as a team. No one gets left behind.
With that silent agreement, they formed a tighter circle, each linking hands once more. Their breaths united, synchronized in a potent rhythm that filled the air with palpable energy. The darkness at their feet surged, twisting like a predator agitating for prey.
Whatever power lurks ahead, we're ready.
Rachel shouted, her voice cutting through the murmur of the shadows. They focused, channeling their fears and hopes into a shared purpose. The shadows recoiled momentarily, and Rachel pushed forward, compelled by the call of the abyss. And just as she felt herself teetering on the edge of knowing, everything exploded into chaos. A deafening roar erupted from below, filling the cavern with a sound like shattering glass mingling with thunder.
The vortex of darkness surged upward, enveloping them in an inky blackness thick and suffocating.
Panic surged within her, but she gritted her teeth, forcing herself to remember the light they had conjured together.
Now!
She yelled, anchoring herself to her friends.
Together!
As they focused their energy, a beam of light erupted from the circle, pushing back against the suffocating darkness surrounding them. It cascaded outward, revealing the swirling figures within the abyss, glimpses of shapes and shadows that were half-formed, but as the light traveled deeper, Rachel's breath caught in her throat. A figure emerged from the shadow, a reflection of their fears, a distorted echo of everything they had fought to suppress.
Face it!
Marcus shouted, his voice breaking through the fear that threatened to swallow them whole.
It's not just about them, it's about us.
Rachel felt her heart race.
We have to understand. It can't hold power if we don't feed it.
The vortex began to shift, drawing the forms into its center.
But
the faces they saw twisted with pain and anguish, pleading for release from the shadows that bound them.
No!
Rachel cried, just as the last remnants of light flickered.
The abyss whirled fiercely, spiraling away into silence as darkness crashed around them.
A profound stillness settled, leaving a haunting echo where the turmoil had dwelled.
Rachel, Sarah murmured, fear weaving through her voice. What have we done?
The light that once unified them dimmed, leaving only a thick murk rising around their feet.
In that bleak moment, reality darkened, and the air turned electric with something unseen.
Rachel sensed a shift, an energy that hinted at the threat lurking just beyond their reach, a new form, perhaps, or a deeper truth still waiting to unfold. They had unleashed something profound. But was it their fears that would come to haunt them, or was there a chance to conquer the source? As Rachel's heart thundered, she realized the greatest challenge might be yet to come. Were they prepared to stare into the heart of the shadows and reclaim their lost souls? The murmur of the abyss beckoned again, and the question hung in the air. Could they find strength and wisdom amid the darkness, or would it consume them whole? They stood in the depths of despair, the shadows thick and oppressive. Silence was a living thing, crawling beneath their skin and clutching at their hearts. As Rachel's breath quickened, she fought to gather her thoughts. They had confronted the darkness, yet here they were, deeper in the darkness than ever before.
Is this how it ends?
Sarah whispered, her voice shaky, despair creeping in like an uninvited shadow.
Have we sacrificed everything just to step into a bigger nightmare? No.
Rachel shot back, her voice steady, refusing to succumb to hopelessness.
This isn't the end. It can't be. We've come too far to let the darkness win now. We have to keep pushing forward.
The air hummed around them, the energy stirring as if acknowledging her conviction. As they clasped hands tighter, a flicker of warmth spread between them, countering the cold that surrounded their hearts. Whatever has been unleashed is still here, Marcus said, scanning the gloom with resolute determination.
We need to face it, just like we've faced everything else. We have to confront our fears again together.
The darkness responded with a low growl, twisting around them like a storm threatening to unleash chaos once more. But Rachel felt a pulse of strength resonate within her.
Hope, raw yet steady, ignited in the pit of her stomach. Let us shine a light on what we've awakened, she declared, the words reverberating with renewed resolve. Together, they shut their eyes, taking deep breaths as if inhaling the very essence of their collective dreams. It's time to reclaim our light, Sarah added, her voice filling with purpose. We won't let fear define us.
Suddenly, the shadows erupted around them, pulling at their ankles, hungry for despair.
You think hope will save you?
A thunderous voice echoed, rich with malice and dark amusement. I will consume your hearts, one by one.
No!
They shouted in unison, their voices blending into a collective roar of defiance.
The darkness faltered, a crack running through its looming form. We are more than our fears. We will prevail.
As they formed a tight circle, light erupted from their clasped hands, illuminating the dark void around them.
A brilliant glow radiated outward, expanding until shadows shrank, warping like mist receding from the sun.
The figures trapped within the abyss flickered an array of distorted memories and nightmares. They weaved like phantoms caught between realms, pleading for release and understanding.
See through the fear,
Marcus urged, his voice booming. They are just reflections of what we have carried, they have no real power over us.
Right,
Rachel added, a fire igniting within her.
These memories don't dictate who we are. Let us show them strength.
As they directed their light deeper into the swirling vortex, the shades twisted and squirmed, shapes shifting from agonized faces to their own. Each fear they faced felt lighter, each darkness squelched beneath the glow of their unity.
Release us. We belong to the shadows now.
A voice shrieked, mingled with 1,000 other echoes.
No!
Rachel shouted back, finding her voice among the confusion.
We choose to create, to move forward. You no longer have control. You are not real unless we give you power.
The shadows twisted violently, the voices rising like a cacophony of wails, but the group stood firm, embedding strength into their resolve.
They summoned all the hope, love, and determination they could muster.
With a final surge, they reached towards the depths of the abyss, and an eruption of light burst forth, illuminating every corner of darkness with an intensity that felt like rebirth. Within the radiant glow, the shadows recoiled, shrieking in fury as they disintegrated into dust, scattering into the wind. Silence settled, the weight lifting as daylight streamed into the abyss, revealing a landscape of vibrant colors creeping into existence. The darkness was gone, replaced by the warmth of their shared spirit, transforming it from a prison to a canvas of possibility. They staggered back, breathless but alive.
We did it! Sarah cried, emotion breaking. Through the surface. We really did it!
Rachel's heart soared, tears of relief streaming down her face.
We're not defined by our past.
We're the sum of our journeys, the fears we faced and the hope we chose instead. Marcus beamed at them, his hands still tightly linked with theirs.
This is a new beginning.
Beyond this darkness lies a world where we choose how to rise. As they stood together, gazing at the horizon painted in never-before-seen hues, Rachel felt a sense of peace wash over her. The shadows might have pursued them, but they had emerged victorious. And in that moment, they understood that the journey of self-discovery was ongoing. The power of hope, love, and friendship would always shine through the darkness, guiding them forward. For now, they turned their eyes to the future, hearts ablaze with the fire of possibility. They would create their destiny, together. As they stepped toward the light, a voice echoed in their hearts, urging them to embrace every moment and challenge ahead.
You see, it's never truly about defeating your demons.
It's about embracing the light within you. So, are you ready to embrace your own light? If you want to be part of this journey, then subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories waiting just for you, and smash the like button now. Your support fuels us. Flood the comments section with your thoughts. How will you face your darkness? What are your fears, and how will you rise? Don't wait even one more second. Share this with at least 5 friends who are ready to take charge of their destinies.